Even apex predators trust humans to protect their young. Today we learned. Why Part 1, First Contact, the research vessel. Horizon drifted silently through the Kepler-186 system, its sensors scanning the surrounding space with careful precision. Captain Alan Carter stood on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the soft glow of the control panels. After 20 years of space exploration, he thought he had seen everything the universe had to offer. He was wrong. "Captain, we're picking up an unusual energy signature," said Communications Officer Judy Barnes, her fingers moving quickly across her station. "It's unlike anything in our database." Alan moved to her side, studying the readings. "Distance? Approximately 600,000 kilometers and closing," Judy replied. "Whatever it is, it's big." The bridge fell silent as the crew watched the main view screen. A massive object appeared against the backdrop of stars, angular and gleaming, with strange protrusions that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "All stations on alert," Alan ordered calmly. "Not combat ready, just alert. Let's not make any assumptions." Science Officer Lisa Moore joined them, her dark eyes wide with excitement rather than fear. "Captain, that design doesn't match any known human configuration. I believe we're looking at a non-human vessel. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had found evidence of microbial life on several planets, but never an advanced civilization. If Lisa was right, this would be the most significant moment in human history." "Open a channel, standard greeting protocol," Alan said, straightening his uniform. He had practiced first contact scenarios throughout his career, never truly believing he would need to use that training. Before Judy could comply, their communication system activated on its own. "They've initiated contact," she said, sounding surprised. The view screen flickered and the bridge crew collectively gasped. The being on screen was enormous, with a thick hide that resembled an exoskeleton. Its head was elongated with multiple eyes positioned for maximum visual coverage and powerful jaws that could clearly crush metal. Despite its alien appearance, the intelligence in those eyes was unmistakable. "Greetings, humans of the vessel Horizon," the creature spoke in perfect English. "I am Kraskel of the Valtraxian Guard. We have been monitoring your approach." Alan stepped forward. "This is Captain Alan Carter. We come in peace and with respect. May I ask how you know our language and our vessel's name?" The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "We have observed your species for some time, Captain. Your broadcasts travel far through space, and we are quick learners." Lisa couldn't contain herself. "You're the first non-human intelligent life we've encountered. This is extraordinary." "For you, perhaps," Kraskel responded. "There are many spacefaring species in this galaxy. Your kind is simply isolated." Security Chief Doug Phillips moved closer to the captain, his hand resting near his sidearm. Alan shot him a warning glance. "We would very much like to meet in person," Alan offered, "to establish formal diplomatic relations." Kraskel seemed to consider this. "That is acceptable. However, there is another matter we wish to discuss, a request of great importance." The view screen changed to show the interior of the Valtraxian vessel. What they saw surprised them even more than the alien's appearance. The massive ship was filled with what appeared to be incubation chambers, each containing small versions of the Valtraxians. "This is a nursery ship," Kraskel explained, "carrying the next generation of our species. We are migrating through a region of space claimed by several hostile forces. We require protection." Alan exchanged confused glances with his officers. "Protection? From what I can see, your species is far more physically capable than humans. Your technology appears advanced beyond ours." "Physical strength and technology are not everything, Captain," the alien responded. "Your species possesses something rare in this galaxy, something we need." Doug leaned toward Alan. "This sounds like a trap, sir," Kraskel continued, apparently having heard the whispered comment. "If we wished to harm you, we could have done so without revealing ourselves. We have studied your kind extensively. Humans have a unique quality. You protect not only your own young, but the young of other species, even at great risk to yourselves. This is almost unheard of among spacefaring civilizations. Lisa stepped forward. You want us to help protect your children? Why not bring more of your own kind as guards? Our migration route takes us through territories where our adult presence would provoke immediate attack. But a human vessel, especially one with our young on board, might pass with less confrontation. And should conflict arise? The aliens, multiple eyes blinked simultaneously. Your species has demonstrated remarkable ingenuity when protecting those under your care. Alan requested a private conference with his senior staff. They gathered in the meeting room adjacent to the bridge. This could be the diplomatic opportunity of a lifetime, Lisa argued passionately. Doug shook his head. Or the perfect way to lure us into a conflict that isn't ours. They look like apex predators to me. That's what makes this so interesting, Lisa countered. Why would the most dangerous-looking species we've ever encountered trust us with their young? Alan's second in command, Jack Wilson, who had remained quiet until now, finally spoke. Perhaps because being an apex predator makes you a target. Everyone fears you, so everyone wants to eliminate you before you become a threat to them. Nicole Grant, Doug's assistant in security, added her thoughts. If they've really been studying us, they know humans have a soft spot for protecting the vulnerable. Maybe they're banking on that instinct. Alan considered all perspectives. We need to contact Earth Command. This decision is beyond our authority. The conversation with Earth took hours. Officials were shocked, scared, excited, and suspicious, in equal measure. Eventually, after intense debate, authorization came through. The Horizon was permitted to escort the Valtraxian nursery ship. When Alan informed Kraskel of their decision, the alien displayed what might have been relief. There is something you should know, Captain, Kraskel said. The young in our care represent our species' future. They are the offspring of our most accomplished leaders, scientists, and warriors. If they were lost, it would set our civilization back generations. Then why risk them on this journey at all? Alan asked. Because staying in place presented an even greater danger. Sometimes movement is the only defense. The alien paused. There is a human saying we discovered in your transmissions. It takes a village to raise a child. We are hoping your village will help protect ours. As preparations began for the joint journey, Lisa worked with the Valtraxian caretakers, learning about their biology and needs. To everyone's surprise, the young Valtraxians were curious and gentle, nothing like their imposing adult counterparts. One of the small aliens approached Lisa as she took readings, reaching out with tiny claws that were surprisingly delicate. Lisa smiled and carefully extended her hand. The young Valtraxian examined her fingers with obvious fascination. They've never seen humans before, explained a Valtraxian caretaker. To them, you are as strange as we are to you. As the Horizon and the nursery ship prepared to depart, Alan stood at the view screen, watching stars that suddenly seemed full of both promise and danger. You realize, Jack said quietly beside him, that if they're telling the truth about the dangers ahead, we could be heading into a war zone. Alan nodded. And if they're right about why they chose us, we're about to find out just how far humanity's protective instincts really go. The two ships accelerated in tandem, beginning a journey that would test the very qualities that made humans unique in the galaxy, their willingness to protect the vulnerable, regardless of species. What none of the crew yet understood was why even the most dangerous predators in known space trusted humans with their precious young. But they would learn. Soon. Even apex predators trust humans to protect their young. Today we learned why. Part 2. Accepting guardianship. The first week of joint travel passed without incident. The Horizon maintained a protective position alongside the much larger Valtraxian nursery ship as they moved through the emptiness of space. Captain Alan Carter established a regular communication schedule with Kraskel, while Dr. Lisa Moore spent increasing amounts of time with the Valtraxian caretakers, learning about their young. Security Chief Doug Phillips was not happy with the arrangement. He paced the corridor outside the docking tube that connected the two vessels, watching as another group of human crew members headed over to help with the alien children. This is the third rotation today, he said to his assistant Nicole Grant. Too many of our people over there. Not enough here to defend our own ship if something goes wrong. Nicole crossed her arms. The captain approved these shifts. The Valtraxian caretakers need rest too. That's not our problem, Doug replied. Our job is to protect this crew, not babysit alien offspring. Maybe the two aren't mutually exclusive, Nicole said. Have you spent any time with the young Valtraxians? Doug shook his head. Don't need to. I've seen the adults. I know what they grow into. On the nursery ship, Lisa was helping a Valtraxian caretaker named Threx with feeding time. The young aliens were surprisingly messy eaters, splashing nutrient fluid everywhere as they eagerly consumed their meals. They're nothing like the adults, Lisa observed, wiping purple liquid from her uniform. So playful and gentle. Threx, whose exoskeleton was softer and lighter in color than Kraskel's, nodded. They do not develop their predatory instincts until adolescence. Until then, they learn through play and observation. Lisa watched as a particularly small Valtraxian child struggled to reach its feeding bowl. She moved it closer, and the little alien made a trilling sound that she had learned was their version of gratitude. I still don't understand why you trust us, Lisa admitted. Your species is clearly more physically capable than ours. Your ships have technology we can barely comprehend. Threx was quiet for a moment. Technology and physical strength are common. In the galaxy, what you possess is much rarer. What's that? Empathy that extends beyond your own kind, Threx replied. Most species only care for their own young. Some will protect allies out of mutual benefit. But humans, you have been known to risk yourselves for completely unrelated species, even when there is no advantage to you. Back on the horizon, Alan was reviewing star charts with his second-in-command, Jack Wilson. Their course would take them through a region of space that several alien powers contested. Kraskel sent over intelligence about the area, Jack said, pointing to a cluster of systems. 3 different species claim this territory. All of them have attacked Valtraxian ships in the past. Alan studied the information. And none of them know about us? Apparently not. According to Kraskel, humans are still relatively unknown in this part of space. Our explorations haven't brought us this far before. So we're banking on the element of surprise, Alan mused. Small enough not to be threatening, unknown enough to cause hesitation. Jack nodded. That's the theory. But if we do encounter hostile forces, we stick to the plan. Alan finished. Protect the nursery ship at all costs. Engineer Sam Rivera had been working closely with the Valtraxian technical team. He entered the bridge, looking excited. Captain, I think we've figured out a way to extend our shields around the nursery ship if needed, he announced. Their engineers showed me aspects of their shield technology we've never even imagined. With some modifications to our systems, we could create a unified defensive barrier. Good work, Sam, Alan said. How soon can you implement it? 2 days, maybe less, with help from their side. Later that evening, Alan called a meeting with his senior staff to update them on their mission. The mood in the room was mixed. Some, like Lisa and Sam, were enthusiastic about working with the aliens. Others, like Doug, remained suspicious. We've intercepted communications that confirm Kraskel's warnings, Alan told them. There are multiple hostile groups tracking the nursery ship's path. They're waiting for an opportunity to attack. So, this isn't just an escort mission, Doug said. We're heading into a potential war zone. It was always that, Lisa pointed out. That's why they asked for our help. Nicole, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I've been spending time with the young ones. They're amazing. They record everything they see and experience in a kind of genetic memory. What happens during this journey will stay with them forever. Which means, Jack asked. Which means if we protect them now, they'll remember humans as allies for their entire lives, Nicole explained. This isn't just about the current generation. It's about the future relationship between our species, Doug scoffed. If they survive to adulthood, and if we survive this mission. Alan raised a hand to quiet the debate. Earth Command has made their position clear. This is now a diplomatic Mission of the highest priority. The first contact with a spacefaring species is significant enough. The chance to establish a positive relationship with them is even more valuable. After the meeting, Lisa returned to the nursery ship for her shift. One of the young Valtraxians had taken a particular interest in her and followed her around, mimicking her movements. The caretakers seemed amused by this. "This one has chosen you," Threx told her. "It is rare for our young to bond with other species." Lisa smiled as the small alien attempted to hold a data tablet the way she did. "What's its name?" "Names come later in our development," Threx explained. "Until they form their own identity, they are simply the young. But you may give this one a temporary designation if you wish." Lisa thought for a moment. "How about Pip? It's small but tries so hard to keep up." Threx made the trilling sound that Lisa now recognized as amusement. "Pip, a good sound. It will do." On the third night of his rotation, Doug finally entered the nursery area of the Valtraxian ship. He stood uncomfortably by the entrance, watching as Nicole helped several of the young aliens with what appeared to be a building game, stacking objects in complex patterns. "Chief Phillips?" Nicole said, surprised to see him. "Did the captain send you?" "No," Doug admitted. "I came to see what all the fuss is about." A young Valtraxian noticed Doug and approached him cautiously. Unlike the adults, which stood over 7 feet tall, the youngster was only about the size of a human toddler. It looked up at Doug with multiple eyes that seemed curious rather than threatening. "They want to see if you'll play with them," Nicole explained. Doug hesitated, then crouched down. The young alien offered him a building block. Against his better judgment, Doug accepted it and added it to the structure the others were creating. The young Valtraxian made a happy chirping sound. "They're not what I expected," Doug said quietly. "None of them are," Nicole replied. "Maybe that's the point of this whole mission, to see beyond expectations." As the Horizon and the nursery ship approached the contested region of space, tension grew among both crews. Kruzkel called a joint briefing with Alan and his senior staff. "We will enter the disputed territory tomorrow," the Valtraxian leader announced. "From that point forward, we must maintain complete sensor vigilance. The first sign of trouble will likely come with little warning." "My crew is ready," Alan assured him. "The shield modifications are complete, and we've run drills for various scenarios." Kruzkel's multiple eyes focused on the human captain. "There is something I must tell you, Captain. The young on this ship, they represent more than just our next generation. They carry genetic sequences from our most ancient and pure bloodlines. They are in many ways the future of our entire species." Alan understood then the true weight of the responsibility they had accepted. This wasn't just about protecting alien children. It was about preserving the future of an entire civilization. "We won't let you down," he promised. As he returned to the horizon, Alan gazed out at the stars ahead. Somewhere in that darkness, danger waited. But so did the chance to prove what humanity stood for in a galaxy full of predators and prey. The true test of their guardianship was about to begin. Even apex predators trust humans to protect their young. Today we learned why. Part 3. The first attack, the Horizon and the Valtraxian nursery ship entered the contested region of space on the 5th day of their journey. The mood on both vessels was tense. Captain Alan Carter ordered all crew to remain at their stations, ready for anything. Security Chief Doug Phillips established guard rotations throughout the human ship, while Engineer Sam Rivera monitored the newly modified shield systems. Everything was quiet for the first 6 hours. Too quiet, according to Jack Wilson. "We should have encountered at least some traffic by now," he said, studying the sensor readings on the bridge. "This is supposed to be disputed territory. Where are the patrol ships?" "Maybe they're hiding," Alan suggested. "Waiting to see what we do." Communications Officer Judy Barnes suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange. A low-frequency transmission, very faint." "Can you identify it?" Judy shook her head. "It doesn't match any pattern in our database. It's not coming from the Valtraxian ship either." Alan tapped his communication device. "Kruzkel, we're detecting an unusual transmission. Are you familiar with it?" There was a moment of silence before the Valtraxian leader responded, his voice tense. Meraki communication signals. They are mercenaries who sell their services to the highest bidder. Currently they work for the Drav Collective, our most aggressive rivals. How dangerous are they? Very. Their ships are small but numerous and they attack in swarms. Prepare yourselves, Captain. Once they reveal themselves, they will strike. Without warning, Alan immediately ordered battle stations. Throughout the horizon, crew members rushed to their emergency positions. On the nursery ship, Valtraxian caretakers gathered their young into the central chamber, the most protected area of their vessel. Lisa was helping with this process when she felt a tug on her uniform. She looked down to see Pip, the young Valtraxian, who had bonded with her. "You need to go with the others," she told the small alien, gently guiding it toward the group. Pip made a distressed chirping sound and clung to her leg. Threx approached, looking concerned. "This one senses your fear," the caretaker explained. "Our young are very sensitive to the emotions of those they bond with." Lisa crouched down to eye level with Pip. "I have to go back to my ship now, but I promise we will protect you." The little alien seemed to understand, reluctantly joining the other youngsters. As Lisa turned to leave, Threx stopped her. "Your species is strange to us," the caretaker said. "You are physically weaker than most spacefaring races, yet you place yourselves in danger to protect others. Why?" Lisa considered this. "I guess it's just who we are. Humans have always protected those who cannot protect themselves." She hurried back to the horizon, making it through the docking tube just as the attack began. The first sign was a series of small, fast-moving objects appearing on the sensor displays. They emerged from behind a nearby moon, dozens of them, moving, in perfect formation. "Meraki attack ships," Jack announced. 37 of them coming in hot. Alan opened a channel to the entire crew. "This is it, people. Remember your training. Our primary mission is to protect the nursery ship." The Meraki vessels were unlike anything the humans had seen before. Sleek, insect-like craft that moved with incredible speed and precision. They circled the two larger ships, looking for weaknesses. "They're scanning us," Judy reported. "Probing our defenses." "Sam, are the extended shields ready?" Alan asked. From engineering, Sam's voice came through. "Yes, Captain, but there's a problem. The power draw will be massive. We can protect both ships, but weapons will be at minimum capacity." Alan made his decision quickly. "Activate the extended shields. Doug, coordinate with the Valtraxian defense. Systems. They'll have to provide the firepower while we maintain protection." The Meraki attacked without warning or communication. Small concentrated energy beams lanced out from their ships, testing the horizon shields. The human vessel shuddered under the assault. "Shields holding at 87%, Sam reported. "But they're just getting started." The nursery, ship's defensive systems came online, firing at the closest attackers. 2 Meraki vessels exploded, but the others quickly adapted, changing their formation. "They're smart," Doug observed, looking for patterns in the defensive fire. The next wave of attacks was more coordinated. The Meraki concentrated their fire on one section of the shield perimeter, causing power fluctuations throughout the horizon. "Shield Generator 3 is overheating," Sam called out. "If it fails, there will be a gap in coverage on the nursery ship's port side." "Can you reroute power?" Alan asked. "Not without dropping the shields completely for a few seconds." Nicole, who was manning a secondary engineering station, stood up. "I can go to the generator and stabilize it manually. The control circuits need physical adjustment." Doug looked alarmed. "That section is right in the line of fire. If the shields drop while you're there—" "I know the risk," Nicole said firmly. "But there are over 100 young Valtraxians on that side of the nursery ship." Alan nodded. "Go, but be careful." Nicole grabbed a toolkit and raced through the corridors of the horizon. The ship rocked with each new impact from the Meraki. Weapons. When she reached Shield Generator 3, she could see why it was failing. The power regulation unit was glowing red-hot from the strain. Working quickly, Nicole rerouted the cooling systems and adjusted the power flow. The generator hummed loudly, still functioning but barely stable. As she worked on strengthening the connections, A particularly violent hit sent her sprawling across the floor. Warning lights flashed around her. "Nicole, Generator 3 is about to fail." Sam's voice came through her communicator. "Get out of there now." She ignored him, crawling back to the unit. "Almost done. Just need 30 more seconds." On the bridge, Alan watched the sensor displays with growing concern. The Meraki had changed tactics, now concentrating their attacks on the weakened section of the shields. "The nursery ship is moving their young away from the threatened area," Judy reported. "But they can't evacuate them all in time." "Nicole, report!" Doug called out, his voice tense. There was no response. The shield strength continued to drop. 70%, 65%, 60%. 10 seconds to shield failure in Section 3, Sam warned. Doug turned to Alan. "Permission to go after her." Before Alan could respond, the shield indicators suddenly stabilized, then began to rise. 62%, 65%, 70%. "She did it," Sam said, relief evident in his voice. Nicole's voice finally came through, sounding exhausted. "Generator 3 is stable. Had to manually rewire the entire cooling system." A cheer went up on the bridge. With the shields holding, the Valtraxian defensive systems were able to target the Meraki ships more effectively. One by one, the attackers were destroyed or driven off. After nearly an hour of battle, the last Meraki ship retreated, disappearing back behind the moon. The danger had passed, at least for now. Alan immediately contacted Kraskel. "Is everyone all right over there?" "Yes, Captain, thanks to your crew's bravery, our young are unharmed." The Valtraxian leader's voice sounded different, respectful in a way it hadn't been before. Especially the one called Nicole. She saved many lives today. When Nicole finally returned to the bridge, exhausted and with minor burns on her hands, Doug did something completely out of character. He hugged her. "Don't ever do that again," he said gruffly. She smiled tiredly. "No promises." Later, after the damage had been assessed and repairs begun, Alan met with Kraskel on the horizon. The Valtraxian leader seemed more willing to share information now. "The Meraki will return," Kraskel said, "and they will bring more ships next time. The Drav Collective has placed a high bounty on our nursery ship." "Why do they hate you so much?" Alan asked directly. Kraskel's multiple eyes blinked slowly. "Because we are what we are. The dominant species in 3-star systems. Evolution made us apex predators and other species fear us for it. That doesn't explain why you need us," Alan pressed. "Your weapons are clearly superior to ours." "We have weapons, yes. Technology, certainly." Kraskel moved closer. "But we lack something fundamental. Something your Nicole demonstrated today." "Which is?" "The willingness to sacrifice for those not of your kind." The alien's voice grew softer. "Our evolutionary path made us strong, but it also made us selfish. We protect our own young, but the concept of risking life for another species, it is simply not in our nature." Alan finally understood. "So you chose humans because we're willing to die to protect others?" "Yes. And because our young will remember it. Memory is genetic for us. The young who witness your protection today will carry that memory into adulthood. It will change how future generations of Valtraxians see humans, and perhaps how they see other species as well." As Alan looked out at the stars, he realized their mission was far more important than simply escorting alien children. They were potentially changing the course of an entire civilization, and the real test was still to come. Even apex predators trust humans to protect their young. Today we learned why. Part 4. The ultimate test. 2 days after the Meraki attack, repairs on both ships were nearly complete. Engineer Sam Rivera had improved the shield systems, making them more efficient. Security Chief Doug Phillips trained crews on both vessels to work together during combat. Science Officer Lisa Moore spent time in the nursery, studying how the young Valtraxians had responded to the danger. Pip, her little friend, seemed more attached to her than ever. The small alien followed her everywhere, trying to help with her work. They become more protective of their bonds during times of stress, Threx explained. much like human children might. Lisa smiled. I suppose there are some universal constants when it comes to raising young. On the bridge of the horizon, Captain Alan Carter studied the star charts with growing concern. Their path would soon take them through the narrowest part of the contested region, a choke point where they would be most vulnerable to attack. Long-range sensors show unusual activity ahead, Jack Wilson reported. Too far to get details, but definitely ship movements. Could be anything, Alan said. Commercial traffic, patrol vessels, or an ambush, Doug added, ever the pessimist. Alan sighed. We knew this wouldn't be easy. Let's just hope the modifications to our shields hold if we need them. Communications Officer Judy Barnes interrupted. Captain, I'm receiving a transmission. It's not from the Valtraxians. The signal is coming from ahead of us. Put it through, Alan ordered. The view screen activated, showing an alien unlike any they had encountered before. This creature had a smooth, almost featureless face with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, its voice was unnaturally smooth and calm. Attention, human vessel. I am Commander Alick of the Combined Fleet. You have entered a restricted area with a known hostile species. You will surrender the Valtraxian ship immediately, or be destroyed along with it. Alan kept his voice level. This is Captain Alan Carter of the research vessel Horizon. We are on a peaceful mission, escorting the Valtraxian nursery ship through transit. We have no hostile intentions. Nursery ship? The alien's tone changed slightly. You are aware that you are protecting the offspring of the most dangerous, predatory species in this sector of space? We are aware that we are protecting children, Alan replied firmly, regardless of species. There was a pause before Alick spoke again. Interesting. Your species is unknown to us. Perhaps you do not understand. The Valtraxians have conquered and subjugated 3 star systems. They consume other sentient beings when resources are scarce. They are not worthy of protection. Alan glanced at Jack, who muted their transmission. Is this true? Jack looked troubled. Kraskel never mentioned anything about consuming other sentient beings. Alan reopened the channel. Commander Alick, I cannot comment on historical conflicts. Our mission is humanitarian in nature. This ship carries only young Valtraxians and their caretakers, not warriors. Nevertheless, they will grow to become warriors, Alick responded. We cannot allow this ship to pass. You have 1 hour to detach from the Valtraxian vessel and leave the area. After that, we will open fire. The transmission ended. Alan immediately called Kraskel. We need to talk. Now. Minutes later, the Valtraxian leader stood on the bridge of the horizon. His massive frame seemed to fill the space, making some of the crew uncomfortable. Is it true? Alan demanded. Does your species consume other sentient beings? Kraskel's multiple eyes blinked slowly. In our distant past, yes, when we were less advanced during times of extreme scarcity, just as humans once practiced cannibalism in similar circumstances. That's not the same thing, Doug said angrily. Isn't it? Kraskel turned to him. Evolution shaped us as apex predators. We did what was necessary to survive. But we have evolved beyond that now. We have not consumed another sentient species in 8 generations. Lisa, who had joined them, spoke up. What about the conquered star systems? We expanded as all successful species do, Kraskel said. Sometimes through conflict, yes. But we bring order and stability. The systems under our protection prosper. Protection or control? Alan asked quietly. Both, perhaps, the alien admitted. But the young on that ship represent our future. They are being raised with new values. Values that include cooperation rather than domination. That is partly why this journey was necessary. Alan turned to his officers. We need to make a decision. Commander Alick has given us 1 hour to abandon the nursery ship. Earth Command is too far away to consult. We can't leave them, Lisa said immediately. There are children on that ship. Children who will grow up to be conquerors. Doug pointed out, Sam, who had been silent until now, joined the debate. But Kraskel says they're being raised differently, and after what Nicole did during the attack, they'll remember humans as protectors, not prey. Speaking of Nicole, Jack said, where is she? Doug checked his tablet. She's on the nursery ship helping with their defensive systems. Alan made his decision. Get her back here immediately. Then I want all senior staff in the conference room. We have less than an hour to decide the fate of hundreds of alien children. In the conference room, opinions were divided. Doug and Jack argued for self-preservation, pointing out that they were outnumbered and outgunned by the combined fleet. Lisa and Sam advocated for protecting the Valtraxian young, regardless of what their species might have done in the past. We can't punish children for the actions of their ancestors, Lisa insisted. Nicole, who had returned from the nursery ship, spoke passionately. I've spent time with them. They're not the monsters Elik described. They're curious, gentle, and they look up to us. That's exactly the point, Alan said, thinking aloud. They look up to us, they're learning from us. If we abandon them now, what does that teach them about humanity? It teaches them we're smart enough to save ourselves, Doug argued. Alan shook his head. No. It teaches them that when things get difficult, principles don't matter. Is that the legacy we want to leave? After further debate, Alan called for a final decision. We're out of time. I need to know where each of you stands. One by one, they gave their opinions. Lisa, Sam, and Nicole voted to stay and protect the nursery ship. Doug and Jack reluctantly suggested withdrawal. The final decision is mine, Alan said. And I've made it. We stay, we protect, because that's who we are. He returned to the bridge and opened a channel to Commander Elik. We've considered your ultimatum. The answer is no. We will not abandon the Valtraxian nursery ship. Elik's smooth face showed no emotion. Then you will die with them. Our fleet outnumbers you 100 to 1. You cannot hope to survive. Perhaps not, Alan agreed. But we will stand our ground nonetheless. After the transmission ended, Alan addressed his crew. I won't order anyone to stay, if you wish to leave. There are escape pods that can take you beyond the conflict zone. Not a single crew member moved. Doug stepped forward. We're with you, Captain. All of us. As the deadline approached, the sensors showed dozens of ships moving into attack positions. The combined fleet was massive, representing at least 5 different alien species united against the Valtraxians. Alan opened a channel to all crew members, on both ships. This is Captain Carter. We face overwhelming odds, but we stand for something important today. The belief that all children deserve protection, regardless of species or history. That the future can be better than the past. That's worth fighting for. As he finished speaking, the first enemy ships began to move forward. The ultimate test had arrived. On the nursery ship, the young Valtraxians gathered together, their multiple eyes fixed on the human caretakers who had chosen to stay with them. Pip reached out and took Lisa's hand, a gesture the small alien had learned from watching humans. It will be okay, Lisa told the young Valtraxian, hoping it was true. The future of 2 species now hung in the balance, connected by one simple, powerful idea, that protection of the vulnerable transcended all differences. Even apex predators trust humans to protect their young. Today we learned why Part 5, the revelation. The combined fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Over 100 ships of various sizes surrounded the horizon and the Valtraxian nursery vessel. On the bridge, Captain Alan Carter watched the tactical display with a calm he did not truly feel. They're taking their time, Jack Wilson noted. Positioning for a coordinated attack. Shield status? Alan asked. Engineer Sam Rivera responded from his station. At maximum capacity, Captain. The improvements are holding, but they won't last long against that many ships. Communications Officer Judy Barnes looked up suddenly. Captain, we're being hailed again. It's Commander Elik. On screen, Alan ordered. The alien commander appeared, still emotionless. Captain Carter, I offer you one final opportunity to save your crew. Detach from the Valtraxian vessel now. My answer hasn't changed, Alan replied firmly. We stand with the children. Children who will grow to dominate and consume, Alec countered. You doom yourselves for nothing. Lisa Moore stepped forward. They're not nothing. They're the future, and they're learning from us. Learning what? Alec asked. Compassion, Lisa said simply. Protection of the vulnerable. Values that transcend species. There was a long pause before Alec spoke again. An interesting concept, but it changes nothing. Prepare yourselves. The transmission ended. The enemy ships began to power up their weapons systems. On the nursery ship, Kraskel gathered the caretakers. Move the young to the center chambers. If the shields fail, that area will remain intact the longest. Threx, who had been working with Lisa, looked troubled. The humans are sacrificing themselves for our young. This is unexpected. Yes, Kraskel agreed. It is why we chose them. Few species in the galaxy would make such a choice. Doug Phillips manned the weapons station on the horizon, knowing their limited firepower would barely make a dent in the combined fleet. Nicole Grant stood beside him, ready to reroute power as needed during the battle. For what it's worth, Doug said quietly, I think the captain made the right call. I was wrong. Nicole smiled. Because they're just children? Because principles matter, Doug replied. If we abandoned them, what would that make us? The first shots from the combined fleet struck the extended shields. The horizon shuddered under the impact. Shields at 93%, Sam reported. Multiple impacts across all quadrants. Return fire on the closest vessels, Alan ordered. Focus on their weapon systems. The horizon's defensive weapons activated, striking back at the nearest enemy ships. The Valtraxian nursery ship also fired, its more powerful systems destroying 2 of the attackers immediately. But there were simply too many. For every ship they damaged, 3 more took its place. The shields began to weaken under the constant barrage. Shields at 78% and falling, Sam called out. We can't maintain this level of protection much longer. Alan gripped the arms of his command chair. Reroute power from non-essential systems. We need to hold out as long as possible. As the battle intensified, something unexpected happened on the nursery ship. One of the young Valtraxians, separated from its group during the confusion, found itself trapped in a section where the shields were weakening. A human engineer named Ben Gray was working nearby when he saw the danger. Without hesitation, Ben rushed forward, gathered the small alien in his arms, and ran toward the safer central chambers. He had almost reached the doorway when the shields in that section failed. The explosive decompression would have killed them both if not for Kraskel. The massive Valtraxian leader threw himself in front of them, using his armored body to shield the human and the young one. The force of the blast threw all 3 of them into the central chamber before emergency doors sealed the breach. Ben was injured but alive. The young Valtraxian was unharmed. Kraskel had suffered severe damage to his exoskeleton, but would survive. When word of this reached the bridge of the horizon, Alan was shocked. He protected a human. Lisa nodded. It goes against everything they told us about their nature. Apex predators don't sacrifice themselves for other species. Unless, Alan began, but was interrupted by Judy. Captain, multiple new contacts, appearing on long-range sensors. Jack studied the readings with widening eyes. At least 20 more ships, but they're not attacking. They're just holding position at the edge of the system. Judy's console lit up again. We're being hailed. It's coming from the new arrivals. The view screen activated to show yet another alien species. This one had a more humanoid appearance, with skin that seemed to shimmer with a soft blue light. Greetings, human vessel Horizon. I am Observer Nara of the Galactic Concord. Your actions have been monitored with great interest. Alan straightened in his chair. Observer Nara, we're currently under attack by the combined fleet. Any assistance would be appreciated. The alien smiled, an expression surprisingly similar to a human one. The attack will cease momentarily. Commander Alec has just received new instructions. As if on cue, the weapons fire from the combined fleet stopped abruptly. I don't understand, Alan said. What's happening? A test, Captain Carter, Nara explained. One that your species has passed with remarkable distinction. A test? People nearly died. The risk was carefully calculated, Nara assured him. Had you chosen to abandon the Valtraxian young, you would have been allowed to leave unharmed. Had the battle reached a truly dangerous point, we would have intervened sooner. Alan struggled to contain his anger. So this entire mission was a setup? The Valtraxians were never really in danger? The danger was real, Nara said, but controlled. The Valtraxians agreed to participate in the test, as did the combined fleet. Only your crew was unaware of the true purpose. Which was what exactly? Lisa asked. To determine if humans possess the quality we have searched for across thousands of worlds, Nara explained. The capacity to protect not just your own kind, but those completely alien to you, even at great risk to yourselves. It is exceedingly rare in the galaxy. On the nursery ship, Kraskel was helped to his feet by medical staff. Despite his injuries, he insisted on speaking with Ben, who was being treated nearby. Why did you protect the human? Ben asked him. I thought your species didn't sacrifice for others. We are learning, Kraskel said simply, from you. Back on the bridge, observer Nara continued her explanation. The Galactic Concord is an alliance of species dedicated to peaceful coexistence and mutual protection. Before admitting any new species, we must be certain they possess the necessary qualities. So you put us through a life-or-death scenario without our knowledge or consent? Alan asked, still angry. It was the only way to be certain your reactions were genuine, Nara replied. And the results were more impressive than we anticipated. Not only did you refuse to abandon the young Valtraxians, but your example has begun to influence the Valtraxians themselves. Jack looked confused. The Valtraxians knew about this test? Their leaders did, Nara confirmed. But what they did not expect was how your crew's actions would affect them. Kraskel's protection of your engineer was not part of the test. It was genuine, the first documented case of a Valtraxian risking itself for another species. Alan began to understand. So our protection of their young is already changing them, Nara finished. The genetic memory of their young will carry this experience forward to future generations. Your compassion may have altered the development path of an entire species. Hours later, with the combined fleet withdrawn and repairs underway, Alan gathered his senior staff to explain what they had learned. The Galactic Concord had invited Earth to send representatives to discuss potential membership in their alliance. So all of this was an elaborate entrance exam? Doug asked incredulously. Apparently, Alan said, though the results were more far-reaching than even they expected. Lisa looked thoughtful. The title of Apex Predator doesn't just refer to physical strength or technology. It's about values. And humans, for all our weaknesses, have one strength that seems rare in the galaxy: the willingness to protect the vulnerable regardless of differences, Nicole finished. As the Horizon prepared to return to Earth with news of their first contact and the invitation from the Galactic Concord, Lisa said goodbye to Pip and the other young Valtraxians. Will we see you again? She asked Threx. Yes, the caretaker assured her. These young ones will insist on it. You have made a permanent impression on them. Kraskel, still recovering from his injuries, approached Captain Allen for a final conversation. Now you understand why even Apex predators trust humans to protect their young, the Valtraxian leader said. Allen nodded. Because in the end, the strongest instinct in the universe isn't the drive to dominate. It is the drive to protect, Kraskel agreed. Something your species seems to have in abundance. It is a different kind of strength, one we hope to learn from. As the Horizon broke orbit and set course for home, its crew carried with them the knowledge that humanity's place in the galaxy would not be defined by their technology or physical prowess, but by a simple, powerful truth: that the strongest species are not those who conquer, but those who protect. And in that arena, humans were the apex predators after all.